Welcome back to the Hoops Temple podcast. We have a 3-hour pod coming your way. I'm Nathan Schwartz, and joining me from Sacramento, Aaron Schroeder.
Good to see you guys. Thanks for having me.
And from the land down under, or just above it, and slightly to the east of it, Dylan Williamson.
I think it's below it.
Is it below it?
It's below it.
Nice. Aaron knows his geography. I'm proud.
Yeah.
It's probably because are you guys aware of the phenomenon when New Zealand doesn't get included on certain maps? That's probably what it is the map that Nate grew up looking at. His globe, it didn't even have New Zealand on it.
I'm just picturing the Risk board because that's where I learned most of my geography. Is like the '90s version of Risk that
is New Zealand on the Risk board?
I don't think so. I thought it was part of Indonesia.
Yeah, we are one and the same.
All right, well, gentlemen, we have the awards show today. Here, I've got everything prepped except Coach of the Year. Or where do we want to begin? Is there a particular favorite award?
Like MVP is the right starting place. 1 second.
You don't want to bury the lead?
I'm a big fan of burying the lead. And now that Aaron has walked away, Dylan, why don't you choose a different award for us to
Let's do Coach of the Year since you haven't prepared it at all.
All right, Coach of the Year, guys. Dylan, what's your
starting for Coach of the Year?
Absolutely.
Okay,
All
okay, right. Aaron. If you're so pedantic, you can call it.
Do you have a Coach of the Year in mind?
I think there's a pretty clear pick, isn't there?
Yeah, Cavs coach.
I was
Kenneth Neal Espenson. Okay. Yeah. I guess there's a reasonable discussion to be made.
For the first time in NBA history, we had a team triple its wins from the prior year. If that's not a coaching turnaround, because like they tripled their wins from the prior year after adding Tobias Harris, Tim Hardaway Jr., and Malik Beasley.
Yeah.
That's a coaching turnaround.
Can you give the coach credit for adding Tobias Harris? I mean, the effect is pretty obvious that Detroit tripled their wins and then the Sixers cut their wins down to a third. The connection there is pretty clear that Tobias Harris is the one that's driving the wins. So I don't know if I want to give the coach too much credit for having Tobias Harris added to his team. Whereas, Kenny Atkinson with a similar roster became one of the best teams net rating wise of all time.
Yeah,
you just got a healthy version of the roster.
Oh, come on. This is a different level. I feel like we've seen a similar core in previous years, and they weren't close to this. Last year was only 48 wins. This is 62 already. 62. You're getting the best offense.
Played 50 games. Mitchell played 55. Garland played 57 games. None of those guys would even be eligible for end of season awards. This year, they're all eligible. And we'll get some.
That's a fair point. It's a fair point. I guess I'm torn. I didn't think about Coach of the Year. Starting off with a really good start, guys. The one category no one prepped for. Yeah. Great way to catch our viewers' attention.
I was going to make the classic, the quality of a coach is best reflected in the team's defense argument. The fact that the Cavs have been a top 10 defense all year with two small guards and like Max Strus as the small forward is an argument in favor of Kenny Atkinson. But then Detroit are also good at defense when they've got like the worst defensive starting center in the league.
But the best defensive backup center. Isaiah Stewart. Because he just murders the opponent.
I mean, Stu and Holland are going to mix things up and get the other team's players tossed. I mean,
are we picking a all 6-man defensive team as well, first and second? Did you guys prep that?
I had my all I was ready. I had my all defensive team. So I don't think Beef Stew has played enough. I think there's a minutes restriction on top of 65 games, and he has not.
No, the all defensive 6th-man team.
All defensive 6th.
They're coming off the bench.
Yeah.
So Keon Ellis is on that one, or I guess I don't know if he started too much by now.
The Rockets players, the Rockets got to have quite a few of those guys.
Yeah, it's just the whole Rockets bench.
I did also check. Sixth man
bench
of the
too.
year is not affected by the 65 game minimum.
Does that change anything for you?
Not really. But if we're doing an all 6 man of the year defensive team, I would hope that is not affected by the 65 game minimum. In which case, I could put Tari Eason like front and center.
Yeah, it's like your guy.
We're going 3 hours. You guys didn't prep a defensive 6-man team?
Dylan didn't prep at all. Dylan didn't prep his all NBA teams prior to this 10 minutes ago. All right.
So we're doing
I had the
NBA.
5 major awards, okay? That's the important thing.
I'm curious where you guys are because I haven't discussed it all too much. Who do you have winning the most valuable player award in a great race, in a really strong race?
Do we want to since we started discussing it, do we want to make our coach pick first?
I'll say Atkinson.
I think we just did. JB Bickerstaff. I don't have a full ballot here, but Atkins would be my number 2, followed by LeBron Ramon James as number 3.
There you go. Yeah,
mean,
JJ Redick honestly deserves some credit. I think that was like a disaster waiting to happen, but I really like his intensity. I like how seriously he takes it, and I think like Dylan was saying about the defensive aspect, you look at that roster and you would think this defense is probably terrible, and they have been really good, and I think that is a reflection of what
they
Redick
have the second worst
guys.
defensive starting center.
Yeah,
I would also just say a good candidate for 4th on the ballot if we were doing a full 5-man ballot. I think it's only 3 on the actual ballot. But if we're doing a full 5, a good coach must coach themselves and must control what is in their ability to control. And Jason Kidd controlling his reaction at the press conference after Luka Doncic was traded and not going WWE with a folding chair on Nico Harrison. I'm just saying that deserves a little bit of credit there.
Yeah, I'm surprised I haven't heard anything from Kidd. I would have just been. I mean, of course, I would have been beside myself. I'm trying to think of other options.
Yeah. Personally,
like
I would have
Christie.
just gone back to be an assistant coach on the Lakers if they traded Luka from my team. I'd be like, I'm coming with you.
Can I come too? All right, that's enough bearing the lead. MVP. My vote prior to today's matchups, which we're recording this Sunday, a little bit after the Thunder just got waxed. But prior to today's matchup, I did have my whole prepared spiel that it should be Nikola Jokic. Never before have we had someone lead the league or be in the top 3 in points per game, rebounds per game, assists per game. He's also in the top 5 or 10 and top 3 in steals per game. And I was looking back at the teams with like amazing win-loss records, 69 or above, which is what the Thunder were on pace for. And out of the 4 times this has happened, one of them did not contain the MVP. That'd be the 72 Lakers, where Jerry West and Wilt Chamberlain split the vote and ended up going to Kareem instead. So there is precedence to be like the best player on team that's this historically good and being a historically great player and still not winning MVP. So I don't feel bad voting for Jokic.
Could we hear your ballot, or should we say ballots until we make our picks?
Yeah, let's make our picks and then talk ballots.
All right, I'll say that I do remember texting Nate and like being furious with him that he didn't see the Nikola Jokic MVP case like 20 games into the season. And but since then, I feel like you really had this steady climb from SGA, and the Thunder have been historically great this entire time. And I feel pretty comfortable casting my vote for him. I think he's so effective, so efficient offensively. He's able to generate like Steph Curry offense within the 3-point line. His mid-range shooting, his shooting on the rim is so good that the Thunder play such a defensive weighted roster around him. And now that they're both elite on offense and defense, historically great defensively, one of the greatest defensive teams of all time. Like while SGA is just kind of like the one really solid offensive creator on that team. What I like so much about him is I have no doubt the Thunder would be great without him, be a very good team if he was just off the roster, but his ability to elevate a good team to one of the best teams ever. I really think we're going to look back on this team in that way. I think that's what I love about him. That's my MVP pick.
Yeah, I mean the in deciding MVP this year, you really had to make a philosophical decision, decide what kind of man you are when determining is Nikola Jokic heads and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is tails, or is it the other way around? Because the only way to really decide this is just to flip a coin. The argument for both men is that great. I've really flipped back and forth on this more so recently, I feel like, whereas earlier I was more in the Jokic camp. But to a point that you made just then, Aaron, the difficulty to raise a team that would win 45 games to winning 65 games is more than raising a team that would otherwise win 28 games to 48 games. And to go from terrible to very good is not as difficult as going from very good to all-time great. Top 5 on offense when, as you said, like there's one other guy who can create a shot on the entire roster and they're a top 5 offense.
That's still kind of questionable. Like I love some J-Dub, but it can be a little rough watching him try to create in certain games.
Yeah, and he's overstretched in that role as the secondary primary ball handler. And so the scoring volume combined with efficiency is like historic. The defensive contribution, while a point guard's defensive value is, I would always say, less than what a center could achieve. I think Shai's defensive value he's providing is more than what Jokic is, especially if you compare to replacement value. And so I went with Shai in the end, but Jokic I think was right there. And for probably most of the season, I would have picked Jokic.
That's
before
funny.
Coming around late.
I flipped late to Jokic because I was just kind of like, what are we doing? We know Jokic is the best guy. We know Jokic is the best player. And like, are we going to continue to let history and we don't want to have multi-time winners, or like we're going to hold his past ones against him, or we can't have 3 straight because LeBron never got 3 straight, Jordan never got, like, and I was just like, no, that doesn't matter to me. We're going to give it to the guy that we just know is the best player, who's elevated his team. I mean, I went and watched this man wax the Pistons when they were starting Zeke Naji at power forward next to him. He dropped a 60-point triple-double in a loss because he has to play with Russell Westbrook. Like,
I feel like most of Nate's love for Jokic is just stemming off his hate for Zeke Naji. Somehow it always gets to the point he's like, Zeke Naji's terrible. He's just so bad.
I love Zeke Naji, and I'm constantly disappointed in it. That's what this is. It's like I have Zeke Naji stock, and I'm just like, just figure it out.
Yeah.
Just figure it out, Zeke.
I love the point Dylan made with every win is exponentially harder to get. And I think you get so much of that on-off splits from Jokic and his very bad, so terrible, not good bench that he has to put up with. And every single person that replaces him when he subs out is horrendous. And so you get this massive on-off number. I would say no one is more responsible for their team being good than Jokic. And yet the elevation that SJ has made is ridiculous. And I thought about like, oh, what if you flip these guys? Like, can we flip these guys? And would you see similar success? And I think because Jokic plays the most important defensive position, his negative defensive value is always going to be an issue. It's always going to be present. And if let's say Jokic is on the Thunder, and then you're not able to run these just devastating Chet Hartenstein lineups that teams simply can't find the rim when those guys are out there. And what make the Thunder so historically great, I think, is part of SGA. His role on the team is important in that. Yes, Nate.
You know who just found the rim today?
Luka
Doncic on the Lakers. Actually, they were making it rain from 3, but like,
yeah, that's true.
They were basically trying to find Hartenstein or Chet, get him in the pick and roll, get him switched out into Reeves or Luka, and then torch those guys. I think you could put Jokic out there or with one of them and have a solid defensive team. You still got Dort, you still got J-Dub. But you get Case on Wallace getting some more minutes.
Oh, sure. You're going to have a solid defensive group, but this is the best defensive team ever. And it's not that. Yeah.
Sure. But if you switch Shai onto Denver, his lack of playmaking, which is like, don't want to say it like it's terrible. It's just nowhere in the Jokic stratosphere. It's nowhere in the Tyrese Halliburton stratosphere, the Luka stratosphere. Like there's elite playmakers. There's a tier
There's
below
Halliburton.
them, and then there's a tier below that, and that's where Shea's playmaking is, and that would be restrictive for a lot of groups.
Both teams are definitely built around their
Constructed.
stars for
Yeah.
sure. And I'm just thinking about SGA and Westbrook. I don't know. I'm just thinking about them on the same at the floor at the same time. It is funny. I feel like we did our playoff wins draft, and I took the Grizzlies, which I'm selling stock. Is anyone interested in taking my Grizzlies pick? But then you guys have Russell Westbrook and James Harden on your guys' team. So
And Doc Rivers.
and Doc Rivers. I avoided the horseman of the playoff apocalypse. I think we saw Westbrook in prime playoff fashion in the Wolves game, which he single-handedly lost the game in 6 seconds. Phenomenal.
That was impressive.
That hurt me so much.
It's crazy that like he's this old and has been playing this many years and is still like, and it's like seems to be like such a smart like person in general, but like it still makes these like such dumb errors. It's like, when are you ever going to learn? Like, hold the ball when you're up 1 with 13 seconds on the clock,
or make the layup. Just make the layup.
Don't even take it. Just hold the ball.
He's gonna have the Jason Kidd career arc. He plays until he's 40 because he's that good. But it's not because his IQ is high. It's because his basketball IQ is high. It's because his athleticism is just it never goes away. He's always gonna be this athletic.
Yeah. Do you guys want to go through the rest of your ballots? I'm assuming since you guys both had Shea at 1, you had Jokic at 2. Where does the real ballot begin? Who do you have at 3?
I was in mid Jason Kidd speech and I froze.
I thought we heard it all.
Yeah, I mean it was based. I think maybe I did actually. Now that I think about it. All right, what was the question?
I'm assuming that since you both have Shea at number 1, you have Jokic at number 2 on your ballots. Who do we have at number 3?
Dylan, would you like to go?
I've finally come around on Jason Tatum. I'm now a Jason
me
Tatum
too.
believer.
Same.
After being a Jason Tatum hater for his entire career, thinking he was overrated, I'm now like, okay, the shot selection is now good. He's not ball stopping. He's one of the most impactful help defenders. So versatile. Will play any role. Will guard the other team center. Something Anthony Davis won't even do, or won't even do without complaining. And so I've finally come around. Jason Tatum, number 3.
I'm with you. I really am. Go ahead.
All right. Well, then who do you have at number 4? Unless you have a Tatum.
I do have a Tatum speech. I have a long Tatum speech now. It's just the versatility, really. His, I think he's taken a step forward as a playmaker, as a passer. His decisions seem like they are crisper and just smart overall. He's 6th in defensive rebounding. He's 90 in the 99th percentile in defensive rebounding percentage behind just Josh Hart and Jalen Johnson. Like, he is legitimately a great rebounding wing, and not only is the team's primary offensive option, but does all the little things, plays a ton of defense, gets his teammates involved, allows them to play like this hyper 3-point oriented style because he can crash the boards and not just get blown out in that regard. Yeah, the Celtics are one of the 3 best teams in the league, and he's been really great this season, which I think just objectively better than last year.
Pulling it up now because I know I saw it on Twitter the other day, but Tatum's drives, he's up to 10 drives a game. He's shooting on 5 of them, kicking on the other 5. Really impressive of driving numbers, 56.5% on those takes. Like, he's generating good offense off of those, and that's been a questionable thing for him in the past. Of like, he wants the Kobe moment, he wants the pull up, he wants the tough shot. But like at this point, I think there are players who have a higher ceiling game to game, but Tatum has a really, really high floor game to game. Like Luka can have amazing games. Luka will also have games worse than Tatum. I think the third place spot is his, and in addition to all of the team team accolades that have come along. Like, there's a reason Boston's really good, and it's not just their depth; it is their top end talent.
All right, for fourth, I had Giannis.
Same.
I had Giannis. I feel like that's kind of the logical next step. Where I think Giannis is better than Jason Tatum still, and his team is much worse because Doc Rivers is a fucking fool. Because he's a fool's fool. He's a court jester. Court jester. And you've also had some Dame injuries. And for the most part, this season has just kind of been a disaster in Milwaukee. And you still get 30 points, 12 rebounds, 6 assists. He's still impactful defensively. The Bucks are going to make the playoffs with a pretty gnarly supporting cast. Now that Dame is back, I mean, we can see, but it's just Giannis again. He's been as good this year as he has been in previous seasons.
In some ways, he's been better. He is scoring more points. He is scoring more efficiently and has a higher assist per game numbers than he did in either of his MVP seasons. Like, and that's our fourth place guy on the ballot.
Shooting 42% for mid range, above average.
Yeah, he's become a mid range killer for some reason.
His 50 piece that I reviewed for my 50 piece game series was a ton of mid range shots. That's like, what do you do when the most unstoppable player at getting to the rim can just start pulling up from mid range? And he's replaced a lot of his threes. Like, I looked at his second MVP season, he was attempting 4.7 threes a game. This year he's at 0.9. So from almost 5 to less than 1. And he's gotten more efficient by kind of moving the opposite of the trend, by replacing open threes with mid-rangers that he can hit. I think it's the old Kevin Garnett where he is just a laser from the deep mid-range. But like, you move out to 3 and he can't hit them. People keep saying, oh, if only he can step back. It's like, no. He had what worked for him. And I think Giannis has really figured out what works for him. So I really hope Milwaukee can figure out something that will work for them in the future moving forward, because having Giannis be kind of an afterthought in both the MVP discussion and the championship titles is making me really sad.
Yeah. I also had Giannis and didn't feel great about it. You mentioned the scoring up, assists up compared to MVP year, and I feel like the defensive impact is like way, way, way down instead of being the number one most impactful defender in the league. He's now, not top 15, maybe top 15, not top 10 at least. And then like, part of me feels like if he's really this good, that the Bucks would be better. Maybe not on defense, which we just said he's slacking in compared to his own standards. But offensively, like ninth on offense when they're playing with Dame, who sure has missed time, but they're playing with floor spacing centers at all times. They've got guys like Taurean Prince and AJ Mitchell, who all they do is shoot threes. Like he's got spacing and he's got high usage, and they're not that great at offense. And so, like, I feel like there was a pretty clear drop off from Tatum to Giannis, but I think Giannis is the pick here.
He's just so good. He's just so good. And I think to note, like Nate mentioned, some stats that are better this year compared to his MVP seasons. Well, his MVP season, he was like the most destructive defensive player we had seen in a long time. Like, just phenomenal at all aspects of the game. So that's really where that's taken a change. But the on-off numbers are still really good for Giannis. Plus 10. The Bucks have gone 6 and 7 without him. They're 37 and 27 with him. He's 4th in EPM. Yeah, I mean, it's Giannis. I think it's so consistent. He had was it 30, 15, and 20 game earlier? And it's March hoops, it's March hoops, how the competition gets, but still, he's able to put together just these statistical anomalies and still, like, if you're in an Eastern Conference team, the Bucks have been good all season. Would you not be a little bit concerned, like drawing them in the first round? It's like, yeah, like Giannis for at least 7 games or at most 7 games. Like that's a scary thing.
I mean, that's why I picked them or talked about picking them. And then you talked me out of it because you were like, they got Doc Rivers.
I wouldn't do it for a playoff wins draft. I'm saying for, a first round matchup.
Sure. All right, then I'm really interested to see where you guys went with the 5th spot, because it gets kind of loosey-goosey in there. And like, in my mind, I ended up going with Donovan Mitchell, but I don't feel great about it. There are a lot of flaws to Mitchell's game. He can be a little bit too ball houndy, a little bit too much of pounding the rock. Okay, but he has been consistently the best player on the Cavs. I really wanted to reward the historic season they were having by giving a guy a fifth place vote.
Can I just ask, is your All NBA first team any different to your MVP ballot? Do you perceive those awards as being different?
Depends on how convincing a case you can make for someone else. There is a player that I have been kind of waffling between.
I didn't. Mine were the same. Last year, I think I had a different fifth place spot. It was like Tatum was second team and Brunson was first team because Brunson was more important or something like that. This year, I found it to be the exact same thing.
Yeah.
And for the reasons, I didn't. There really wasn't like a most valuable case that I found where like Brunson last year was like just shouldering this Knicks team, and then this year I didn't really see that.
So then, who's your guys' fifth guy?
Right. I'll make a comment on Donovan Mitchell. I like Donovan Mitchell. I do not think the reasons that the Cavs are better are because of him. I think he is basically as good as he was last year, where he was second team, where it's where I had him. And I think the leaps that Evan Mobley has made, and Darius Garland is healthy and seems a lot better. And so, like, I don't really look at him as a first team NBA guy. I had Steph. I was Steph. I think, even at this age, he's one of the three best offensive players in the entire league and could be one on a good day. In the last 23 games, the Warriors have gone 20-3. He's averaging 29 points, 4 rebounds, 6 assists. It's an insanely hot start. And I like a hot start more it's a really hot finish to the season. And I prefer that finish into the playoffs than I would a hot start in October. And I think Steph is my first team NBA guy.
I also consider Mitchell. I also considered Mobley, actually. Part of me wanted to, Nate said that Mitchell's clearly been the best player on the Cavs, but I considered going Mobley instead. But I also went with Steph as my, I guess, fifth place winner or my final spot on the first team. And part of it is the fact that we talked about, Shea doesn't have another really high level creator on his team. Well, Steph, his secondary creators are even worse, and they're like score 120 points per 100 when he's on the court, and 12 points worse when he's off. And so I do agree that he's been sort of a top 3 offensive player. The defense is still at like the level where it's certainly not elite, but is good enough to fit in around a good defensive team. The Warriors have still been a good defensive team this year. Even when they fall apart, whenever Steph's off, they're still able to win games that way. And so, I went with Steph in the end, but with strong consideration to Mitchell and also to Mobley.
Well, then, I guess, go ahead.
Really quickly, to the viewers, me and Dylan do not talk to each other. Like, we don't.
We actually hate each
other. We don't message each other. I know this is probably heartbreaking. Like, Santa Claus isn't real. Me and Dylan don't message each other consistently or anything. Like, we come up with these genius, perfect ideas completely separately, and then we come and we share them with Nate.
I really hate to tell you guys this, but as the 2 white men with mustaches that have identical ballots, that is, no one is going to buy that. I know it's true.
He lives in New Zealand. We can't international messaging. I can't.
Well, yeah. So Dylan and I communicate through Facebook Messenger. Aaron and I communicate through text. But you cannot text New Zealand. And Aaron, as a too cool for school, what are you even? Are you a Gen Zer? Yeah, you freaking Gen Zer doesn't have Facebook.
Yeah. My parents have Facebook. I don't have Facebook.
Yeah, I don't have Facebook, but I have Messenger.
That's different. That's different.
Sure.
I don't know. We just have the same ideas. Hello. Anybody?
Let's see how similar your ideas get when we move on to second team. Name all NBA.
The Mario and Luigi of NBA podcast.
All right, Dylan, would you care to read your whole second team?
So Mobley and Mitchell, who I mentioned, as consideration for first team, had both of them there. Then I went with Jaren Jackson, and closed it out with Tyrese Halliburton. And also, who I actually closed it out with because there's 5 players on the second team. LeBron.
Mm.
Wow, very nice.
We have some very different guys here. Aaron, who are
Yeah,
your
I'm
5
excited.
man on second team?
I had Donovan Mitchell. I had Evan Mobley, Tyrese Halliburton, Anthony Edwards, and Cade Cunningham.
Okay. So right now, currently, I have Jalen Brunson in there. He does need to play in 4 of the 5 remaining Knicks games, but he is slotted to play tonight. So in theory, he will be able to play moving forward.
Mm-hmm. I had him. So in my third team, I have a spot for Durant and Brunson. I said Durant if he plays in 3 more games, and then Brunson if he gets to 4 more games. I could see Brunson in the second team, like for sure. But you don't know what's gonna happen.
So I did have Curry as my first team guy. Brunson as the second team. My one switch from MVP to All NBA, or sorry, Mitchell in the second team. So we all have Mitchell second team. But my other 4: Jalen Brunson, Karl Anthony Towns, Cade Cunningham, and Tyrese Halliburton. You're on mute, but I saw the reaction.
Tyrese Halliburton is here.
Yeah.
We're back.
He generates very good offense.
Interesting.
He does have some of the same defensive liabilities as LeBron James, but I really just couldn't get there with some of the other weaknesses in LeBron's game, some of the apathy in LeBron's game. Halliburton's bad defensively, but he isn't always as apathetic as LeBron is. And maybe I'm judging too much against LeBron's past.
They're like equally bad, but in opposite ways. Where like Halliburton just like doesn't have the physical ability to play good defense, but like will sometimes kind of try. Whereas LeBron's like the opposite. Like he probably could just like lock in and get a stop whenever he wanted, but chooses not to.
Because he's old.
But
he is old.
One of the guys I was really weighing for first team, and I think Aaron had him on second team, but Dylan didn't, was Cade Cunningham. Is that correct?
Yeah. Or I had him on first team in my original ballot that I made like I think a week ago, and then Steph has just been torching people. It's like, all right, okay.
I felt like it was a step too soon for Cade, but just pulling up his numbers. Where's here? What was he? 26 points, 9 assists, 6 boards, and a steal. And like, I put Bickerstaff as my coach of the year. I will talk to you more about Malik Beasley in this awards exercise, but really, all of this has been Cade being healthy and Cade's improvement, and a little bit, he's improved playmaker, he's improved shooter. He's not just settling for mid ranges nearly as much. I think the Cade improvement has been dramatic, and the real reason the Pistons have been so good.
This is my litmus test for everything. I look at a team and I go, if LeBron James was the star on this team, how many ESPN articles would be written about his supporting cast and how they're not good enough and how the King deserves better? And I think the record is the Pistons. I think I look at this team that's 43-35, and my goodness, all these guys would be playing for different teams if LeBron was the star. And Cade has just been, he's so impactful offensively. The Pistons get more points of possession in the half court, in transition. They shoot better around the rim. They shoot better from mid-range and from 3 when Cade is on. Just everything is up. There's no part of the offensive game that Cade takes away from. He just unlocks them as a team. And yeah, Detroit Pistons basketball is in the playoffs.
Cade is another guy like Tatum who I've really come around a lot on and caught up with the consensus, where like Jason Tatum in previous year, because he's really only had one other year being good, previously I felt like he was miscast as like the primary offensive guy. I was like, this guy is like a wing. He's like a good second option. It should be like a secondary playmaker. Should be in like a Jason Tatum type role. Like he's not a point guard. But this year, like he's caught up. He actually is a point guard. He's caught up to the reputation that he had, where now he is actually able to drive a really good offense. And so once again, while I was not wrong, he himself has caught up to his own reputation that was overrating him.
Nate, when are you gonna post the apology video with tears for comparing him to Kyle Kuzma last year?
I did not compare him to Kyle Kuzma.
You did.
I compared
you
arguments
jumped in on our top
Kyle
100
Kuzma.
and you said, why is Cade Cunningham so much better than Kyle Kuzma? They both led the worst team in the league. That's
you
what
guys
you said.
that you said Kyle Kuzma couldn't be on the top 100 because he led the worst team in the league. And I was like, but you could have Cade in the top 50?
Because Cade Cunningham is good at basketball. And were we wrong about that, though? Look at this. All NBA second team Cade and Kyle Kuzma
and Kyle Kuzma is the worst player in the
NBA. Oh, my God. Kuzma's going to have a playoff game. Trust me. He's going to have one good playoff game.
Anytime. Yeah, he's just gearing up for it. That's why he's playing like shit for the past month. He's just saving it all up.
He's the new Bobby Portis, the people's champion. All right. Is there anyone else on your guys' second teams that you really want to hit on or make a good speech about?
I kind of want to talk about Anthony Edwards, honestly. His three-point volume is just insane, and he's maintained that. He shoots threes like he's Steph Curry. He's taking 10 a game at 40%. I feel like so much of the Edwards conversation was like, well, he needs better shot selection. He's locking on defense, and he's like, no one really respects his three-point jumper. Now he's like, it's him or Steph as like the most lethal, dangerous on-ball three-point shooters in the entire league. It's such an insane development. Now, his advanced stats are still pretty bad because for someone that has the ball a lot, like he doesn't get rebounds or get assists or block shots or get steals. And he turns the ball over quite a bit. So there is still like it's not a very like complete game in a sense, but I think now more than ever can I imagine him just destroying people in the playoffs and like making a finals run if he really gets going.
Yeah. I'd be really worried if I'm drawing Minnesota in the first round. Not just for the reason that Anthony Edwards has been so good this year, but also they're the most unlucky team in the NBA in terms of wins compared to point differential. And so their performance has been a lot better than what their wins suggest. And so some team is gonna come up against these guys who have a quality that's far higher than their win-loss record and go up against a top 15, maybe top 10 player in Anthony Edwards and have just a really hard time.
Yeah. Do you guys know who the inverse of that is, where they've overachieved their point differential by the most?
The Lakers.
The Lakers. It's the Lakers every single year. It has been this way.
It's the clutch genes.
No, genuinely, LeBron like Jedi mind tricks the refs into giving them a couple clutch wins, and they turn it on when it's important. I look at that and you can say it is a fraudulent thing, but I really do believe that it's like a trait the Lakers and LeBron has. Like they will pull out like in games they don't have a chance, they just back off, and in games where it's close, they wait, and then they pounce and they win.
That is very much a LeBron thing. Like if they're just getting beat, he does kind of pack it in and conserve the energy, but like games where there's a chance, he does ratchet it up to another level, and that's where you start to see him play defense, and that's what part of what drives my disappointment. And when he doesn't play defense, because we know he can. I had 2 points on Minnesota and Anthony Edwards. One, they're the worst clutch team when the game does not involve Russell Westbrook. As soon as he's in the game, their clutch numbers improve. But with Anthony Edwards' 3-point shot, he's over 40% on the year, but it is still kind of streaky. Just looking at like the month-by-month shooting percentage, it was 41.5, 43, 39, 44, 34, 35, then back up to 42, just kind of a month-by-month thing. So that does give me a little bit of pause as for them in the playoffs of just he is really hot and he could be really cold at times. So there's a reason why they're the low seed. I had Edwards on my second team, or on my third team, sorry. My third team is LeBron, Ramon James, Anthony Edwards, Jaren Jackson Jr., Evan Mobley, and the biggest surprise to me going through this exercise is James Harden.
Ooh.
I like those picks. I wanted to say if we did a draft of players that might have a sub 50% sure shooting in the first round, Edwards is up there. It is so volatile. Him and Harden might be my two top picks. But speaking of James Harden, I had him too on my third team. My third team was Karl Anthony Towns, LeBron, Kevin Durant / Jalen Brunson / anyone else that might hit the 65 game mark on the last day. And then I threw Domantas Sabonis in there out of the kindness of my heart.
Oh God, Homer.
No, he's been really good. He's been really good.
Yeah,
this
it's been
season.
really good. He's leading the league in rebounds. He was one of my earlier cuts. That's the two guys that I really wish I could have squeezed onto the third team were Jaylen Brown and Jalen Williams. It's kind of just the year of Jalen's, but couldn't quite get there. Dylan,
I'll give 1 second on Sabonis. He's shooting 40% from three with 2.3 attempts per game. His on-off is plus 8.4. And like for a Kings team that just seems to crumble when he's not on the court or available, he makes improvements every year in areas that we didn't even really think were possible. He's gotten better defensively on the perimeter, and then now he can hit threes now, I guess.
Yeah, he was also a early cut for me, as in like before I even started to consider it, he was already cut. The other guys I had, my third team, Cade, who we've talked about, Anthony Edwards, who we talked about, Jalen Brunson, I had also / Kevin Durant, whichever one of them makes it. And if neither of them do somehow, then I've got Cat. And then I went with Darius Garland and Jalen Williams.
Interesting.
Could you read the five that there's too many names for me to parse? Which five are the third team?
Assuming Brunson plays, then it's
Okay.
Cade, Ant, Brunson, Darius Garland, and Jalen Williams.
I like Garland. I like Garland.
I'm trying to figure out which one of my guys that you left out.
James Harden.
Man,
you left out
why are we the Harden guys?
Well, and Karl Anthony Towns.
Yeah, Towns is my
defense.
Towns is my my next guy if both Brunson and Kevin Durant don't make it.
No Jaylen Brown. Neither of you had Jaylen Brown.
We're the massive Jaylen Brown haters. You remember?
I
don't think that's changed.
See,
Jalen Williams over Jaylen Brown. It's my hot take that I'll never give up on.
Just
he has been good. If there was a fourth team, he'd be there.
Yeah,
he'd be right there with Karl Towns and if it's a Zubats.
We'll get to Zoo later. I got Zoo.
Well,
and some of these. Why no Towns? Because Towns was a solid second teamer for me.
Oh yeah, I mean, like he's a very close cut. Ultimately, I decided that his offensive season, which has been probably like maybe top 6, is too much dragged down by the fact that he makes the Knicks quite bad on defense in a way that Darius Garland, Jalen Williams do not. And so a close omission, but I would decided that he's not the driver of the Knicks offense, which is not as elite as some of these other teams as well. And then the defensive impact, I think, is strongly negative in holding the team back.
I would say that he and Brunson are kind of co-drivers of this offense. The pick and pops that they've run and his ability to be that spacer has been just legendary. And I'm not going to hold the defense too much against him because we all knew the defense was bad. This is on Tibbs, the greatest defensive mastermind of the last 20 years to figure out. This is on OG Anunoby, one of the greatest wing defenders, and Mikal Bridges, one of the greatest wing defenders, to figure out how to cover for him. And I blame them for his failures on that end. Figure it out.
You guys ever seen Full Metal Jacket?
I've seen Full Metal Alchemist.
Nate, when I asked the question, what do you think I was asking for?
I mean,
in Full Metal Jacket,
Of course, I've seen Full Metal Jacket.
Yeah. Dylan, do you know where I'm going with this? Whenever
Ah,
Private
no, but
Pile fucks up, I will not punish him. I will
there we go.
punish you.
So OG Ananobi is
Yeah.
not making an all defensive team,
Because
as Private Towns is having him do laps.
yeah.
Did he make your all defensive teams?
No.
No,
Okay. See?
they did not.
See, he couldn't cover for Carl Anthony Towns the same way Rudy Gobert did. So no, he's not making it here.
Should we defend James Harden?
Sure. Harden started off the year incredibly
Yeah, defend James
rough.
Harden to me.
Harden started off the year incredibly rough. I think he was like sub 40% field goal percentage at one point this season, and has now just barely
Almost
crept
right
above
now, yeah.
it. Yeah. But at the same time, one of the things that we talked about with Shea having to be the sole offensive generator on a team that doesn't have a lot. I mean, he's out there playing with Chris Dunn, Derek Jones Jr., or Ben Simmons is now getting minutes on this team. They've gone very heavily into the defensive side of things. And when Kawhi wasn't out there, like, it's Harden trying to figure out how to set up and create for guys like Norm Powell, for Ivica Zubac. And like those guys are having amazing years. And I think part of their amazing years is having James Harden set them up and make the offense somewhat stable, somewhat palatable, with as many good defensive players as they've had on the roster. And I was really kind of surprised when I was just looking at it. I was like, he's driving the bus in a way and in a better way than I feel like Jaylen Brown is as a second option, or and more than I would rather have Devin Booker, who Booker's like 26 points, 7 assists. Like, he has really good numbers. And I was just like, I'm not interested with how bad the Suns are. They need someone to organize and gather the offense. And Booker kind of does that, but he doesn't do it as well as what we've seen from this year's James Harden. So Harden got my last spot on third team.
I agree with what Nate said. The Clippers are so defense oriented, and Harden has been able throughout the season to keep their offensive flow in just an insane Western Conference, and they're going to be within the play-in, maybe playoff conversation because of that. While Kawhi has been in and out of the lineup, I think he's at 34 games right now. And he really is just one of the best passers, playmakers, ball handlers of our lifetime. I wrote down for a note, Malik Beasley said James Harden was easy to guard, and then Harden gave him 50.
What a legend. And with you guys mentioned the defensive players that the Clippers are able to play. And I feel like it's almost worth making that case that I once made for Nikola Jokic for Defensive Player of the Year, and that because Harden is able to elevate such mediocre offensive talent, you're able to put more defensive players in a round. And so because his offense is so positive, you're able to, he actually improves your defense by letting you play more dependent players.
I was thinking about that case earlier today when I was watching the Thunder play the Lakers, because I was like, their defense isn't doing that bad. It's their offense that's doing really bad, and it's giving the Lakers mismatches and chances to attack and transition. And like in half-court sets, they were still doing fine, as long as they weren't getting switched out. But with iHeart guarding, Austin Reeves. But like, I was like, man, maybe the best defense is a really good offense. Get back, set up the defense. And it's like, sometimes it just holds true. I also want to say I gave zero consideration to Trae Young. And I would like to just point out Bogdan Bogdanovic's shooting splits when in Atlanta. 37% from the field, 30% from three, 88 from the line. That's not going to really matter much, or change much. Gets to the Clippers playing next to James Harden. 37 becomes 48. 30% from three becomes 42.5. That's the offensive drive of James Harden.
Can you recap our teams before we move on?
Yeah. First team, I've got Jokic, Shea, Tatum, Giannis, and Curry. Second team, I've got Jalen Brunson, Donovan Mitchell, Karl Anthony Towns, Cade Cunningham, and Tyrese Halliburton. Third team, I have LeBron James, Anthony Edwards, Jaren Jackson Jr., Evan Mobley, and James Harden.
All right. My first team was SGA, Jokic, Tatum, Giannis, and Steph. Second team is Donovan Mitchell, Tyrese Halliburton, Anthony Edwards, Evan Mobley, and Cade Cunningham. My third team was Domantas Sabonis, Karl Anthony Towns, James Harden, LeBron James, and Kevin Durant / Jalen Brunson with the 65 game mark.
My first team is exactly the same: Shea, Jokic, Tatum, Giannis, and Steph. My second team is Jaren Jackson, Tyrese Halliburton, Donovan Mitchell, Evan Mobley, and Pookie Bear. My third team is Cade Cunningham, Anthony Edwards, Jalen Brunson, Darius Garland, and Jalen Williams.
Dylan, before we move on, I just need to hear the Garland take.
The Cavs are elite on offense even when Mitchell's not in, and I wanted to give them credit. You said that Mitchell's been clearly the Cavs' best player, and had him fifth in MVP. And I think Garland has been on a similar level to him, and so I wanted to reward that.
Okay, fair enough.
You really ruined Dylan's day with that comment, calling Mitchell the best player on the Cavs.
I stand by it.
He's been thinking about that all podcast.
And I think Garland has even been a better defensive player than someone like than Mitchell or than James Harden or Brunson or Halliburton. I don't think he's a huge negative the way that those guys are.
Challenge accepted. We'll see about that in the playoffs. Although I think I have no, Aaron drafted the Cavs. Yeah, challenge accepted. We'll see how much of a defensive liability he can be. All right. Well, on the note of defense, what's everyone's DPOY at the top 5 looking like?
Who gets to go first? You pick, Nate.
Dylan.
Guys, it's Big Zoo. Defensive player of the year. If it's a Zubats.
All right, let's hear it.
Number one defense in the past couple weeks. Number 2, I think, on the season. Zubats is the anchor for that. They cannot get a stop when he's out of the game. He locks down the defensive glass. You cannot score at the rim when he's on the court. More mobile than some of these other guys. Allows you to play the likes of a Chris Dunn, who's a impactful defender, but in a way that can be negative, as in he's gambling a lot. He's playing hard over screens. He's playing in the passing lanes, and Zubats covers up for all of that. I just think he's had a heavy load to lift. We talked about how the Clippers are able to put defensive players like Chris Dunn and Derek Jones, who are like none of them are making a all defensive team. Like, these are solid defenders who are not lockdown guys. And Zubats is the one that elevates everything to a elite level, playing high minutes as well this year. I think it's just been a great defensive season for the big guy.
Don't be so sure about none of those guys making all defensive teams. I've got a Chris Dunn second team selection out there.
What's your top 5 ballot look like, Dylan? Or should we make our picks first?
Let's hear your guys' number 1 first. If it's not Big Zoo, and then we'll go ballot.
You know, guys, I've always been very susceptible to
propaganda.
Don't
say Domantas Sabonis.
I've always been very easily influenced. My defensive player of the year is Draymond. I think Draymond Green is still, without Wemby, like with Wemby down, I think he's still like the best defensive player in basketball. And the playoffs are going to roll around, and he's going to be more physical. He's going to be more intimidating than everyone else, and the refs are going to let him get away with it. But that's just part of it. Draymond gets to do shit that no one else does. It's like he has extra cards in his Pokemon hand, man. He can play more shit. And so it's a really interesting race where his candidacy kind of came out of nowhere. And it's been a hot topic on Twitter. Like, he wasn't even on the ballot. like 2 months ago, and all of a sudden he's like the heavy favorite. But Wemby was such a foregone conclusion for so long that there really wasn't like it really wasn't a serious race. And with him gone, you get that second look. You get everyone go, wait a second, all right, let's really think about who like is going to win this award again. And so you get that second look. All of a sudden, it's Draymond Green, and I think that's the right pick.
So I'm kind of going a different way with that. It's all season long. We had Wemby as the number 1 guy, and we had Dyson Daniels as the number 2 guy. That was pretty consistently shown throughout the betting market. That was pretty consistently shown throughout the year. And if we want to talk about like a defensive weight, he had to make up for Trae Young. Like, I don't care what you want to say. That's tying a bowling ball around your ankles. And this year, he is about to average 3 steals per game, something we have not seen since the 90s. Is leading the league in deflections by such a huge margin. We're talking 422 deflections currently. To second place is 250. Like, it's an astronomical defensive season from him, and I think that deserves to be rewarded. Draymond has been really good defensively this year, sure, but the team hasn't been that great. It's not like what we say, hey, you have to choose a big man because their defensive presence impacts the entire team and has kept them up so high. Like, they've figured out lately, now that they've added Jimmy Butler, figured out Quentin Post as a big man and to help protect the rim. Like, the team has been very good defensively lately, but like, we weren't saying anything about the Warriors being good defensively in January or December, but we have been talking about Dyson Daniel all year. And I want to, when I look back in the season in 10 years, I want that to be reflected. So my vote is still going to Dyson Daniels.
I just couldn't find any metric that made Dyson Daniels look good, or like made him look like a special defensive player. And I feel like that is important because you watch him and he is awesome on ball. Defense is more complicated than you will be ever able to fully understand within just like watching one guy kind of harass on ball. And there's so much going on, and it ends up being the Hawks aren't really better or worse when he's out there defensively. There's lineup stuff that go with that. There's a Trae Young thing that goes with that. He's on my second team because when I watch the Hawks, like, he's so obviously a terror. I don't think the steals per game, the deflections per game, I still feel like I'd prefer like Alex Caruso defensively. What he does both on ball and off ball.
Wow.
Yeah. Dyson Daniels is the best defensive player on the league's 19th best defense. He takes no charges. He doesn't really defend at the rim. The help defense, I think, is not on the same level as certain other guys around the league. What he's really great at is, as you mentioned, deflections.
And converting them into steals.
And convert them into steals, sure. If you look at the splits on how those deflections come, it's actually mostly on ball, and so it's not like it's a heavy passing lane guy, as in he's not defending the entire team the way that an elite rim protector is. He's really just a sort of one-on-one kind of guy and does a really good job at that. But I think that's far less impactful than a really good rim protecting big. I think rim protection is far more valuable than steals. Dyson Daniels is getting like 9 deflections a game or whatever, and Ivica Zubac contests 15 shots at the rim every game, and so I think rim protection is far more valuable than on-ball defense, even if he's able to convert those into immediate stops the way that he does with steals.
Counterpoint: pretty hard to shoot if you get the steal. He doesn't lower opponent's field goal percentage that much. But if you stop your opponent from shooting, isn't that ultimately what we want as a defense? If you're able to take the ball away from the opponent, it's the classic Dwight Howard effect. Yes, Dwight in a Kirk Goldsberry piece, he wasn't getting as many blocks because teams weren't shooting against him. Mm-hmm. For a guy like Zubac, guys aren't really scared. They're going at Zubac, and sure, he can get a ton of shots contested. So does Nikola Jokic. So does Brook Lopez. Zubac is lowering defenders or contesting shots, lowering opponents' field goal percentage from like 48 down to 45%. It's 3.5 basis points on the year. I'd personally rather have 3 steals and then like 6 deflections and 9 times where you're stopping a shot before it can happen into 15 shots that are getting lowered by 3 basis points.
So opponents, when Zubac is on the floor, shoot 28% of their shots at the rim. League averages 31. The on-off there is negative 4.6. 84th percentile in terms of not allowing shots at the rim. And so I think that the
84th
statistical
percentile. Come on. You can't even give me a 90th percentile?
95th percentile and on-off here. So the stats show that teams are actually avoiding shooting at the rim when he's on.
Sure. But if you pull him into the mid-range.
They don't get there often. Yes, cool. pull them into the mid-range, shoot mid-range shots all game. Taking away shots at the rim is the most valuable thing you can do on offense. They're the most efficient shots. He does it better than almost anyone at not letting guys get there. Guys don't want to shoot against him, and then when he contests them, he's also impactful there.
All right, who's the rest of the ballots? Because we could debate this for a little bit, but that's going to get old.
All right, I had Jalen Williams and then Amen Thompson. I love Jalen Williams. Jalen Williams is 6'5" and one of the most important protectors in the entire league. They have been able to. It's just every single Thunder player. I take it back. Every single Thunder player is on my all defensive team. They all made it. Everybody made it.
The trouble with that is I actually wanted to do a version of that, but none of these guys are going to play 65 games. Like Chet's not, Hardenstein's not, Caruso's not. Like Lou Dort. Like I wanted to do that, but they're not going to play the fucking games.
If we look at just defensive rating, Jalen Williams has the 10th best defensive rating in the league. And it's the 5th best on the Thunder. Like, that's wild. Sorry, go.
Sorry, I just realized I had Caruso, and he has not played enough games. I'll put Dort in. Jalen Williams is so versatile. He's so versatile, and not in like a guard 1 through 5, but it's more like situationally. He can guard just the ball handler in a pick and roll and the big guy rolling to the basket. He's strong enough, he's physical enough to handle so many, just every single instance. If I had to pick what defender I want, like on average, it's Jalen Williams. Like he should be there. I think him and Draymond are very similar in that way.
Yeah. I was really trying to figure out if I could make a case for him for DPOY. I couldn't quite get there. But in the second Isaiah Hartenstein absence, where both Chet and Ihart are out for a 5-game sample size, J-Dub's playing center, and he is lowering opponent's field goal percentage by 9.6 basis points. So dropping them from 48 down to basically 38%. Like that's amazing, especially when you consider the versatility of what he brings to the floor, being asked to play center or as he's a 3-4 or a 4-3. Like he's not like a solid. It's not Mobley. It's not Jaren Jackson Jr. Like he shouldn't be playing 5 for extended minutes, and he was.
I'd rather have Jalen Williams play center for an entire season than Jaren Jackson Jr.
Wow. Wow.
He can't rebound. He's not a good rebounder. He fouls out too much. I think that's reasonable.
Dylan, what's the rest of your ballot?
I went with Draymond and Evan Mobley.
I went Draymond and Jalen Williams. I did do a full 5, which was Draymond, Jalen Williams, Jaren Jackson Jr., and then Ivica Zubac.
Shout out Big Zoo.
So that is my all defensive teams.
No Evan Mobley love for you guys?
I have Mobley in the first team. I really liked him. I feel like He's a very, very good defensive player, but I think of the game breaking defense that these other guys are. I'll read my first team. It's Draymond Green, Jonah Williams, Ben Thompson, Evan Mobley, and Rudy Gobert. Everyone hates Rudy Gobert. Rudy Gobert is the least popular person on planet Earth, and he's still one of the best rim protectors in the league. The Wolves are good on defense. They're especially good when he's on the floor. And you can never take that from me. I'm going to go to the grave with the fact that Gobert, I actually had Gobert as my DPOY for a second, but I pulled back.
I also had Gobert on my first team, along with the aforementioned Mobley, Zubac, and Draymond, and then Triple J was my other guy.
My knock on Mobley, and the thing that I just couldn't get past, he has really nice defensive numbers. The Cavs are 3 points per 100 possessions better with him on than with him off, but 3 points better defensively, I should say. But when you watch Cleveland play, they do a lot of staggering of their bigs. And almost inevitably, Jared Allen defends the better big. Like, they keep him out there while Nikola Jokic is out there. And then Evan Mobley gets to play the center minutes against Aaron Gordon. Or, I was watching them play the Clippers. Jared Allen had Ivica Zubac the entire time. Mobley got to play against Ben Simmons. And sure, he can be a bit more versatile. He can help out more on the guards. So I think that's a smart way to play it. But I also just have to acknowledge and recognize, like, Mobley has kind of an easier individual matchup that allows him to do a bit more and help more against the other guys. It's like, I'm not quite as in love with his defense, and I think if he does win DPOY, that will be a bit of a shame. I think it's a pretty open race this year. There's a lot of guys who could win it, but I think if it goes to Mobley because of how good the Cavs defense have been, that'll be a little bit disappointing to me.
We'll have to see.
I think he's the primary reason that they're so good, though. You mentioned Jared Allen is the better, on-ball post defender. That's a very, that's sort of down the list in terms of the ways that you can impact the defense. And I think Mobley's the reason that Jared Allen has taken that role is to free Mobley up to be an absolutely incredibly impactful second side rim protector. And the load that he has to pull without Allen, even though he is going up against some second units, the most used lineup of Evan Mobley at center is with George Niang, Sam Merrill, Donovan Mitchell, and Karis LeVert. So you've got one half decent defender, maybe 3 disasters, and they allowed 92.8 points per 100. Like, he's.
But when you go up against the Bucks,
elite.
But when you go up against the Bucks and Allen guards Giannis, or is out there for the Giannis minutes, and Mobley's out there for the Kyle Kuzma minutes, I'm just a little bit less impressed. Go back to your Kyle Kuzma points.
To be fair, I feel like who guards who is just a little complicated in today's NBA.
Sure, less individual matchups, but more of like the staggering of minutes. Yeah. When Allen is out there, Giannis is out there. When Mobley is out there,
Mobley
Kuzma
fucking starts. He starts too. He's going to be
out
there.
Giannis'
then they stagger them.
Maybe for 5-6 minutes a game, are you going to see like matchup hunting like that? But I feel like no, Mobley's going to be out there in the minutes that matters. Whatever the Bucks do is whatever the Bucks do. Mobley's best asset isn't face guarding Giannis; it's rim protection and roaming around. Like, I think that's his defensive value.
I'm just saying, if you watch the way they stagger these guys, Mobley has a much easier or much weaker opponent's strength. Allen is out there against the other team's best power forward center. Mobley is out there against the reserves. So, like,
okay,
that's why it's just why some of the on-off numbers don't speak to me as much, which is actually watching the games and like seeing how these rotations go. I watched them play the Blazers the other day. And against Donovan Clegane, you had Allen out there. When it's Duop Reith, it's Mobley. It's like, cool. Gabe, Mobley.
Who's better? Who's better in that instance? And I'm not. I love the example of if Duop Reith. Duop Reith is a killer. He ended my season.
Reith, but
no, that was
he's the best basketball player I've ever seen live.
Yeah.
All right. What about your guys' second teams?
I had Triple J, Dyson Daniels, Big Z, Bam Adebayo, and Lou Dort.
Do you want to go, Nate?
Yeah, I went actually pretty wing heavy. I do have Mobley on the second team. I have Chris Dunn, Lou Dort, and then both of the Thompson twins. I did really,
Yeah.
I really debated about one of them versus this Rudy Gobert, and then I kind of just said, "Fuck it." No one wants to give Rudy Gobert more love, and so let's just have both Thompson twins because the one in Houston has been an absolute wrecking crew, and the one in Detroit has been equally phenomenal and a lot less this spoken about, but just playing some not backup five because you got Stewart out there, but he is protecting the rim like a backup five, and he is so versatile out there. Or
Almost
just
even Mobley like.
yeah, like against reserve units, he does so much damage.
I don't think Asar is gonna play enough. He's at
Is he
56
not?
games. Yeah. Sorry.
Oh.
I'd made some changes just sitting here because I was like, man, these guys aren't gonna play enough. Yeah, it was
All right,
funny. I
Rudy,
made a
you
video.
made the team.
And I said, Amen Thompson is a one-of-one athlete. And the comments were like, are you fucking kidding me? He's not even a one-of-one Amen Thompson. Like, there's another one of these guys.
For my second team, there were a lot of guys that I wanted to pick who will not make the minutes, the games played cut. And so, whereas I am a big man purist, I strongly believe that centers are more valuable than other positions defensively. My second team ends up also being all wings. I also had a men. I gave Dyson some love. Jalen Williams, Jason Tatum, and the Dortcher Chamber.
Tatum. I thought about Tatum. I really did. I'm surprised he had no Bam. Bam has just been, I know the Heat have been just a mess, but.
I had to dock him 15 points because of bad vibes.
Mm-hmm. For being disappointing on offense for the 7th straight year.
Yeah.
I kind of just said if you're below 500 at this point, I'm really just not interested in rewarding you. Like,
yeah, they're still good at defense.
So you gave Dyson Daniels the DPOY?
Except for Dyson.
On the 19th best defense in the
Listen,
league. All right. Yeah. No,
he's been
fine.
special. He's been special.
Okay.
What has Bam done that's been special this year?
He's always one of the most versatile defenders in the league. He defends the rim at a high level. He can cover the paint. He's a good rebounder.
Versatility. He's above average in multiple things. But
He's
not
good
great
at
at
it.
anything.
He's the anchor of the 11th best defense in the league. And you can't say that about any other guy who has played 65 games, okay?
Wait,
that we haven't already mentioned.
You can't say that about anyone else because it's Bam. No one else is the anchor of the 11th best defense.
Of a top 11 defense, you can't say that about anyone else who's going to play 65 games who we haven't already named.
Jackson Hayes, that Lakers defense is something special.
What do we have left?
Do we want to mention Jackson Hayes for most improved player?
Oh, yeah, most improved. Nate, who are your most improved players? Top 3.
If you say Jackson Hayes, I'm logging off right now.
My number one choice is Ivica Zubac, followed by Dyson Daniels, and then I also just put in Norm Powell. So I went, I went 2 Clippers in the top 3. I think whenever you lose a player of Paul George's caliber, not that Paul George has been good this year, but like that was supposed to be the most significant offseason signing, and Paul George at points looked like the Clippers' best player last year. And these guys said, fuck it. We're going to be better off without him. Zoo has been a big recipient of Harden's offensive stylings, but he also has been shown growth as a post player on his own. There are some slight defensive improvements, although those defensive metrics were good last year. I think just overall, Zoo has come a long, long ways and like should get some love. I mean, around the All-Star game, there wasn't room for him, but like there was the obligatory like, yeah, we should think about giving it to a Clipper, maybe Zoo, maybe Norm Powell, and those guys were not near that stratosphere last year.
So do you think trading him for Mike Muscala was a mistake now that and we've got the complete perspective of hindsight?
Well, hindsight's 2020. And yes, that was a terrible mistake. In the moment, we knew that was a mistake. And with hindsight of 2020, we know it's even worse.
I had my most improved player is Josh Hart. I feel like Hart went from
nice.
Really?
Yeah. I think he went from like kind of a nice starter last year to like legitimately one of the most impactful players in the league and like close to a top 50 player. He's averaging 14 points, nearly 10 rebounds a game, and 6 assists. You really see him like he is this focal point of their offense. He is everywhere defensively. He feel like he really just embodies Knicks basketball right now, like the toughness. He's leading the good minutes. He's shooting 10% better from the field compared to last season. I think he's improved the most. I think, quality starter last year, like legitimately fringe all-star this year, like close to it, like within that top 50, 60.
I like it. That's a nice take.
Yeah, that's a great pull.
Thanks, guys.
I went for the opposite of that. It went with the unanimous favorite, Cade Cunningham, who went from like low-level all-star to all-NBA, and I think that like we're talking about, the difficulty and marginal improvement for a team is much higher at a high level. That small jump from low-level all-star to all-NBA, I think, is a big jump, and so I gave it to Cade. Even though part of me doesn't like giving it to a guy this young, it's sort of expected that you should move this way. But I do think that it's a noticeable jump to go from, like, I may not have picked him for the All-Star team to now I'm picking him for All-NBA.
I'm with you on disliking that. I do think, like, see the Vegas favorite. You said the most likely guy. If he's the Vegas favorite, I wouldn't be shocked at all on that numbers. I gave like Franz Wagner a little bit of consideration until he realized he wasn't going to make the games limits. But just I really would love it if this reward moved away from like star to superstar or like close to that. I moved back towards like, hey, fringe role player to like solid good guy, or like, some of that in the awards, because I don't know, just helps deepen the discussion of the league of more players as opposed to just rewarding another all-star with another award.
Who are your second and third, Dylan?
I didn't rank them because I thought Cade was so clear the number one. But if I had to know off the top of my head, like maybe like Norm's probably a good call. I am swayed by your Josh Hart case. And then also Dyson Daniels, to go from like a vaguely impactful 20-minute bench guy to a clear impactful starter. I think he's another guy that's quite high in the actual Vegas odds. And as maybe, if it's not Cade that wins it, I think it's likely to be him that actually wins it.
My second and third were Big Z, and then I had Cunningham. I feel like I'm not happy about it, Cunningham. You know what? My other guy was Tyler Hero. We'll put him in instead.
That's another good pick here.
Yeah.
I feel like I want to be very traditionalist with the most improved player. It's like the most improved, the player that improved the most. And I feel like the jump from the Big Z and Hart thing are pretty similar, where it's like, top 100, they're a pretty good starter. Like we talk about them in the last 20 minutes of our top 100 episode, to like Big Z is the top 60 guy. Like he's or in the top 50. Like he is so good defensively. He owns the glass. Like he's really efficient offensively. Pick and roll is great. A huge part of why the Clippers been so good. And then Tyler Hero's been averaging like 25, 5 and 5 since the All-Star break. I didn't like the All-Star pick when it happened, and I think he's actually earned it since then. Where it went from like, is this Anthony Simons, to I actually think he could be a legitimate like all-star guard option on a good team. The Heat are kind of a disaster, but I feel like he's been really good.
Aaron, I was terrified you were going to tell me Josh Giddey.
I thought about it, right? Because I mean, I think the improvement's been there, but it is interesting. I feel like if you're trying to win 38 games, Josh Giddey is just like, sign me up. He's perfect. You can't get better than this. And Caruso
He's
is
a
going to help
future
you win
Sacramento
65.
King.
Yeah, he's absolutely. And well, Caruso will help you win 65 games, and so the Thunder were interested in that. But yeah, the Bulls and him are a perfect marriage because the Bulls will never win more than 45 games, and Giddey will cap their ceiling at that.
They live for the play-in. All right. I say we go for sixth man of the year so we can round out on the rookies. Sixth man of the year. Should be a quick discussion here. Peyton Pritchard?
Yes. I had Pritchard, Naz Reid, and Ty Jerome.
I went Peyton Pritchard, DeAndre Hunter, Malik Beasley.
Beasley's good. I kind of feel I feel maybe I should put Beasley in there.
Yeah.
I got
and
Mike
Hunter
Brown
as well.
fired.
Is that a good thing?
It's impactful. Malik Beasley hit it was him 4-point play in the game of after and then Brown got fired the next day.
What are the Pistons right now? They're the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They're a top 12 team by point differential. They're ahead of the Lakers and the Bucks, and Malik Beasley might be their second best player.
And Malik Beasley has been on the Lakers and the Bucks, and both teams would love this version of Malik Beasley, where he's hitting 40+% of his threes. I mean, he comes in and he provides a real life for the Pistons in ways that they have not had in the past years.
Who are you guys, Dylan?
I similarly thought that Pritchard was so clearly the number one that I didn't bother to rank. But if I did, I would probably go Hunter, who I strongly considered earlier in the season. I thought he was really good in Atlanta. Is he going to qualify?
He is going to qualify. He splits his time between being Cleveland and Atlanta, but he's still coming off the bench for the most part in Cleveland. He'll have the games numbered, and he's kind of just supplanted Ty Jerome as the sixth man in Cleveland, which I think if we had done this before the trade deadline, Ty Jerome he'd be in the top 3 on my ballot. But since the trade deadline has happened, Hunter has started just 4 games in Cleveland. He's getting in more minutes than Ty Jerome. He's playing a bigger role. His defense, it's in addition to his offense, I think just provides a greater impact than Ty Jerome. And so it's just like, sorry, Ty, you got some considerations from me for MIP. So I realized you only played 2 games last year, but just.
And then Malik Beasley would be my third. And six man, I'm very heavily swayed by guys that can close. And those 3 guys that I've picked, not only are they impactful coming in against second units and, helping to not let the team drop off when the starters are out, but they are also guys that can close.
Yeah.
I've been swayed. I'm going to take Beasley and put him in for Ty Jerome.
Woo!
Yeah. Malik Beasley.
Naz Reid did have really nice stats when I did a 5-man. He is my 4th, and Ty was my 5th guy here. Just Minnesota can't have a all-NBA guy, a DPOY guy, and a 6-man of the year guy and be this bad. I'm sorry. There needs to be. I can't give everyone those awards. We gotta. Everyone's getting bumped back. Nas can't be 6-man of the year. Edwards, he's falling off of second team, and Gobert's not a first team defensive guy for me this year. Just take a step back, regroup, figure it out. You guys can be up for the awards next year.
One more close game, then you're eligible again.
Yeah. All right.
Rookie time. We get to close out with a bang.
Most exciting rookie class.
One of the worst rookie classes in recent memory.
No, it's a solid class.
It's horrendous. Nate, enough. It's so bad. This is such a horrible class.
I think it's going to be a really ugly pick, but I think that there's only one rookie who's not a huge negative. There's only one rookie that isn't single-handedly losing you a bunch of games.
Jalen
it's not
Wells.
it's Jalen Wells Rookie of the Year. Like it's
I knew you were gonna do this to me.
it's not a sexy pick, but he's the
I had
only
Zach
guy
Edey.
that's
I don't know what's going on.
Wait,
okay.
what? guys, do
he's
not
the
make
only
me be
guy that's not single-handedly losing his team a bunch of games.
Zach Edey's
Don't
good.
make me beat this guy. Don't make me beat the Stephon Castle guy.
Oh God.
I had
Tell me why it's good that he's putting up, one of the highest usage and lowest efficiencies in the NBA.
He's being asked to do things. Jalen Wells.
Yeah, and doing
I
them
love
really
him.
bad and losing his team games.
I'm a traditionalist for Rookie of the Year, where we're not projecting. I want to know who is the best rookie in their rookie season. And Wells isn't a bad pick. I had him. I did not have him. I didn't have him in my top 3, but
Get out of here.
That's all right. That's all right.
All right, what's your top 3, Aaron?
I had Zach Edey, number 1. I'll defend it for Zach Edey is the starting center on a 46-win team. Maybe more than that if they win more games. His on-off number is fine. It's a flat neutral. They have found a way to integrate. He's the only rookie that a playoff team has found a way to integrate him into the rotation, into the starting rotation. No other rookie has this kind of responsibility. I had Stephon Castle after that because Castle's good. I think Dylan maybe is a little harsh on Castle. I think Nate's probably right. They're asking him to do a lot of things. I really love the flashes. And then I had Clelware after that. Okay. It's on defense. It's 3s.
Can we just back up so no one else is being asked to do what he's doing?
Yeah, and he's done a terrible job at it. Like, I don't know, man. Like, maybe if they asked Jalen Wells to do it, he could also single-handedly lose them games. Like, I don't know. He could also have the highest efficiency, the highest usage, and lowest efficiency in the league. Like,
for me, it was either Wells or Stephon Castle.
You guys don't like Zach Edey? I thought he was the only competent rookie in this entire class so far.
No, he's the only one competent.
He's my second.
Thank you. He's starting on a playoff team.
So is Jalen Wells, the same.
And that's why he's Rookie of the Year.
And he's playing very good defense. The thing I don't say about rookies, a thing that I have been dragged on the internet for being harsh on every rookie's defense, because Jalen Wells is actually decent at defense. Like, he's guarding Curry 94 feet in these games. And yes, I know Curry just gave him a 50-piece.
Should I prefer him over Ware? I really like Ware, but
yeah, is he gonna? What are his games played looking like?
Ware did not make my.
I don't think
either of my all rookie teams.
You're out of your fucking mind. I don't think there's a game.
Not even top 10.
No.
Okay.
In this class, Ware didn't make the top 10.
This class is not bad. This class
just
doesn't have as much high-end talent. Now, I will say...
I want to hear your top 10.
What is high-end talent to you? Is that not good players?
Go ahead. I struggled to find 3 good rookies, and you're telling me you've got 11?
Well, so one, rookie teams do not need to abide by the 65-game minimum.
No.
Mm-hmm.
So Jalen Wells made my all-rookie first team.
He made mine too.
Or sorry, not Jalen Wells. Jared McCain.
That's fucking that's so fucking dumb. Boo.
That is a nice take.
Boo.
I don't care.
No.
I'm moving him into my first team.
How many games did he play? 16?
Yeah.
I think in his 16 games he contributed more to winning than anyone else except Wells and Edey.
23 games. 23 games played. Oh my god.
My first team is Stephon Castle, Zachary Risache, Jalen Wells, Jared McCain, and Alex Sarr.
Edey's better than Sarr right now. You're out of your mind.
No.
Yeah.
No, Alex Sarr is a disaster. I love Alex Sarr. He's not impactful right now.
Sarr has grown defensively throughout the year. Or his defensive metrics have gotten much better throughout the year. There were times where guys where the defended field goal percentage was positive going against SAR, or like 6 points. Like if you're shooting 50% when he's defending the rim, you're shooting 56%. That since January has improved so much. Right? So like, I get it. I get that he's moving better. His 3-point shot has come along looking a lot better. He's being asked to do a ton, and he's not given a lot of other help and support defensively. Okay, so yes, SAR is making my all defensive first, or not my all defensive, my all rookie first team.
What a player is asked to do does not define how good they are. Just because the Wizards front office has designed this team to specifically win 12 games does not mean Alex Sarr is good. I had him on my second team, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to be nice. I think Alex Sarr is going to be awesome. I think he's going to be a really good NBA player. He has a true shooting percentage of 48%, and his team is the worst in the league.
Okay, guys, I think it's time that we acknowledge that Donald Trump is a all-time great president. He's he is crashing the stock market, but he's doing a lot to do it. He's been he's asking a lot of legislature. It is having disastrous effects. It's crashing the global market, worsening the lives of the people of his nation and the world. But he is doing a lot.
They're asking him to do a lot. You can't you're going to go to Trump and ask him to fix the stock market. You can't do that. It's way too much to ask. That's why he's so good at it.
Yeah, they're asking him to fix the cost of living. He's doing a terrible job at it, but he is doing a lot to affect it.
That's it. I like that. That's a good analogy. Okay, my first team.
January 1st. Okay. Since January 1st, Zach Edey is defending basically 13 shots. That's per game. His defended field goal percentage, he is affecting that by less than a single point.
Is that overall, or is that at the rim? Can you filter by just within 6 feet?
His rim percentage is fine. It's lowered a little bit.
What side are you looking at? Because I don't care if guys are shooting a high percentage on threes and mid range and floaters against them. I just want at the rim.
Edey at the rim since January 1st is dropping it. It's 7.5%. Or 7.5 points.
Okay, so essentially elite rim protection.
Thank you. Thank you. I think
even if he can't contest on the perimeter at all, is what we're hearing.
He's also only contesting 4.5 shots a game at the rim.
I think he's going to play about 12 minutes a night in the playoffs.
He's barely playing more than that now.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. Maybe I was a little too excited. Yeah, Zach, because I knew Zach Edey was going to be good in the NBA, and he's been great, and he's been arguably statistically the best rookie.
He's probably like the 25th best player in the league at his position, which you can't say about any of the other rookies. Like Stephon Castle's like the 75th best shooting guard in the league.
All right, who are the rest of your guys' first teams? Or read off your first teams. We've talked a lot of names in here.
I had the same as you, but with Edey instead of Sarr. Despite how much I've disagreed with you, I've got one change.
Now that you've put Jared McCain in there?
Yeah.
I refuse to put McCain in there. I don't know. I can't abide by it. So my first team was Edey, Ware, Castle, Risa Shea, and Wells. I really love how Risa Shea has looked. I think his off-ball stuff is really special. He's been shooting the ball really well in this last half of the season. Then my second team was Yves Missi, Donovan Clingan, Quentin Post, Kyle Filipowski, and Alex Sarr. Who would you rather have right now going into the playoffs? If Quentin Post or Alex Sarr?
Quentin Post.
Thank you.
Quentin Post didn't play half the year, though, and so I kind of did deduct a little bit from that. But my second team is Tristan da Silva.
You're deducting for missed games played, and you put Jared McCain in? What are you talking about?
No. He also deducted from McCain. It's just that McCain was up here, and then he dropped all the way down to here, whereas every other rookie's here, and then the difference is still there.
McCain would have been Rookie of the Year if he didn't miss this many games. Yeah. Quentin Post was healthy, and they just didn't think he was good enough until they were forced to give him the opportunity, and then he blossomed with the opportunity, being the exact thing that Gold State needed. my second team is Tristan Da Silva, Quentin Post, Zach Edey, Ryan Dunn, and Keyshawn George.
Nice.
Keyshawn George.
So the Keyshawn George numbers are incredibly rough. A lot of that's the early years with the Wizards, but I was trying to work on like a rookie check-in for him because he post the trade for Chris Middleton. He was playing incredibly well. I was really starting to show something. He just as this big, versatile defensive guy that could guard a lot of different players. Like he was getting the defensive matchup up in Orlando again. That's alternating between Franz Wagner and Paulo Banchero. Who I think there's a lot to him. Also some playmaking, some mid-range pull-up game that I really was enjoying and watching post All-Star break or post trade deadline. And unfortunately got hurt before he could flip the numbers around. But I think just from a talent perspective, I really like what Keyshawn George has brought to the table.
It is interesting. I've liked what I've seen from the Wizards. Like what the flashes I've seen tell me that the Wizards what
Get raked across the coals for Alex Sarr for 5 minutes, and then it's like, oh yeah, Keyshawn George, great pull.
Well, their flashes are good. I'm saying the flashes are good, but if you're stacking up who has been good at basketball, none of the Wizards guys are there. I think I like the future, but it's been a rough season where yeah. Although I gotta say, like post Kyle Kuzma Wizards is the vibes are certainly better. And AJ Johnson is legitimately good. I think if you talk about the worst trades of this season, I mean it's not Luka Doncic level, but it's close. Flipping Kyle Kuzma for a player that's better and younger and cheaper.
Honestly, and Middleton's looks good out there too.
Yeah, it's a terrible trade.
Yeah,
not great, but like
Chris Middleton lost me a lot of money. Okay, he had an excellent game against the Nuggets. I had money on the Nuggets at like $1.08, and he fucking killed the Nuggets and lost me a lot of money. That's how good he is.
The Wizards are now having to cut his minutes back because he was helping them too much. They went.
I know that's.
Like,
I was hoping that's what they were gonna. I was hoping that's what they were gonna do in that Nuggets game. That like once it got to the fourth quarter, they'd stop playing him so they could lose. But they just kept fucking playing him, and he kept winning them the game.
All right, who else do you guys have in this second team?
Can you give me yours again?
I would, except for there we go. Tristan Da Silva, Keyshawn George, Quentin Post, Ryan Dunn, and Zach Edey. Not particularly in that order. I think the last two guys to make it for me were Ryan Dunn and Keyshawn George over Yves Missi and Kiel Ware. So there's 12 solid players coming out of this draft class. There you guys go.
No Martis Buzelis love for you guys? You haven't liked any of his flashes?
I do really like
worst player in the league.
Yeah, maybe I should have put Buzelis in here. All right, sorry, Keyshawn George. Actually, sorry, Ryan Dunn.
I think about. I really wanted to approach this as like who are the best rookies right now. I think Mata. It's been a slow ramp up in the flashes he's shown in the ceiling. I think he has, but I think there have been players that are just the production is just good. I was going to mention Kyle Filipowski for a second.
Yeah.
There was a stretch. There is a stretch where he averaged 15, 8, and 2 in the Jazz with 3 and 20. But he was putting up those numbers. He was putting up good numbers, guys, and I promise you. Maybe I should reevaluate that second team. I was just kind of like, let me look at some raw production really quickly, but I think when the Jazz really turned the tank on, Kyle Filipowski was getting more minutes, and I think that tells me what I need to know.
I mean, I think that's the thing with this rookie class is like they're not great, but I think a lot of them will be NBA players and will be, maybe not starters, but like they'll be in rotation. This class is not a gargantuan bust where there's only going to be 5 guys in the NBA in 6 years, but like there's just not going to have a ton of all-stars. You're going to have a lot of guys who are maybe the third best player on teams, fourth best player on teams.
Nate,
Yeah,
why don't
I
you
mean-
admit on camera that this is the worst draft class in 10 years. Since
10 years,
2013.
probably. Probably. I'll have to look back at that.
This is
But-
this is the third worst draft class since the merger.
It sounds like a series that someone needs to go through on TikTok.
I think I like what you're saying. You're very respectful of these rookies, and you've done a good job covering them on TikTok. It's just not a very good class. I think we're gonna understand instantaneously when the next year's class starts, and it's like, oh, like these are good. These are good
Oh,
NBA
this-
players. This is really cool. Like, check it out.
Going back and just pulling up some of the recent years draft classes that weren't
Mhm.
great. In 2013, you still got a Giannis, you got a Gobert, you got a CJ McCollum. But then after that, whether we want to go by like win shares or by VORP, the next couple of guys are Mason Plumlee, Kelly Olynyk, Steven Adams. I was like, not terrible. Otto Porter Jr., Nerlens Noel, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, Gorgie Day.
Isn't
like-
Oladipo in this one?
Yeah, Oladipo's in there, but just
Yeah.
because of the injuries and whatnot, he's not as high on some of these. But like a lot of solid role players. I think this team or this draft class is going to have guys that could compare, maybe not 1 through 3, but like 4 through 10, and probably even a little bit deeper. Going a little bit deeper in the 2013 class. Cody Zeller is the 13th guy. Mike Igmuscala, Reggie Bullock, Andre Roberson, Lucas Nguera.
Bebe Naguera.
Like draft class are not super deep, and I think this one has produced a lot of guys that are solid.
Yeah. Do you remember what the number was that you found that was like the average amount of all-stars per draft class?
4, like 4.5.
4. Yeah. I would struggle to pick 4 guys who could ever make an all-star team from this class.
If you had to pick 4, though, who would they be? What would be your bet on the 4 highest chances?
I have 4.
Okay. Who are your 4? Because I struggle to pick 2.
I don't feel like wonderfully about it, but it'd be
Hmm.
Castle, Reese Shea, Pizzelles, and Ware.
And McCain.
Yeah, I'm Jared McCain. I don't know. I still like it. I think about like if Dalton Connect had the start he had, and instead of getting traded to Charlotte and then traded back, his knee exploded. Like, what would you feel differently about him?
I think if Dalton Connect had the start that he had and wasn't 25, I'd feel better about him.
Okay, that's
Like-
reasonable.
Like Dalton Connect, I think he's much closer to being a finished product.
He's
then-
23, I'm 24.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like
Okay.
like he's a couple months younger than Luka.
What? No, he's not. Dalton Connect.
So,
Really?
okay, is a year and a half.
It's
younger
like
than Luka.
yeah, but it's closer
Yeah.
than you'd think for Luca and Connect, but
Yeah.
yeah, Connect had a stretch where he's averaging 19, 5, and 1. It was like, oh, they did it again, and I think maybe just getting hurt and leaving it there would be better for your legacy than getting traded than untraded. But just a thought on what we think of McCain's hot start.
Also, not like McCain's hot start was really moving the needle for Philly. Like,
Mhm.
I'm sorry, they still were bad. He was the
Yeah.
bright spot. He was the one thing that you could enjoy in Philly. Although my guy Bona, I made a video on him early in the year, and people were like, "Who the hell is this guy?" And I'm like, "No.
Adim.
He's
Adem, as
Jew-
how do you pronounce his first name?
I believe it's Adam."
Yeah.
But
But I also
with
wouldn't
Philly
listen
now,
to
so we'll
Nate.
see how well they are.
He's
doing
notorious
this,
for
but,
getting names wrong.
I do just look at the name and just go full force into it with a lot of gusto and heart,
Yeah.
and maybe not as much accuracy.
Yeah.
just dropped 28 on Milwaukee.
Mm-hmm.
Could we get some Yabusele love while we're admiring mediocre
76ers.
well, not mediocre performances from this horrific team.
MIP, man. We should have put him in this conversation.
Actually-
Last year he wasn't in the NBA. This year he
Actually,
is.
yeah.
That's improvement.
Honorable mention to Gershon.
Did everyone read their second teams? Aaron, did you get yours out there?
Yeah, I had Yves Misi, Donovan Clingan, Quentin Post, Matas Buzelis, and Alex Sarr.
And I had Buzelis, De Silva, Kel Ware, Quinton Post, and Ryan Dunn.
You guys like
Right.
Ryan Dunn?
He sometimes plays on a team that's trying to win games.
He is sometimes the most enjoyable part of watching the Suns play. Actually, Otto
He's the one bright spot.
is sometimes the most enjoyable bright spot, but he just hasn't been a high enough or a consistent enough bright spot. But I fucking love Oso.
You guys didn't have Clingan.
No.
Donovan better than DeAndre Ayton already. Clingan. That's my nickname that I gave him.
Yep.
Yeah, there's
It's
probably
accurate.
a good case for him.
When Aiden was out, this is great. This is awesome. Like keep doing this, and I mean, Aiden's only played in 40 games, but him coming back from injury and all of a sudden, it's like, well, but I would say like the Blazers have been like much more competitive than I thought they'd be. So, and I attribute some of that to Clingan being just really good rim protector.
Yeah,
I think you could also make a case for Denny Avdia for most improved. And when I was looking at 6 Man of the Year stats, Scoot Henderson actually had some really good numbers coming off the bench.
Yeah. No, he's been a lot better this year as well.
I did want to circle back. I was just looking over my notes to see if I missed talking about anyone or something I missed. In the All-NBA discussion, none of us had a Rocket, despite them being top 4 team by record this year.
Yeah, and we also didn't mention Ime Pekoch.
Good point.
For me, I thought about Şengün, but I couldn't get there with Şengün because I feel like the Rockets are best because of their defense, and their defense is a collaborative effort between a lot of different guys who don't have the like high-end All-NBA talent. And then their offense is primarily driven by Fred VanVleet. And with VanVleet, they're 40 and 18. And without him, they're 11 and 9. And that's where they really struggled. And so I was like, I can't reward Şengün with an All-NBA spot, even though he's been their overall probably most consistent best player or due to the VanVleet absences. But it's just like, there's too many other factors here. So they're a really good team. But
I think he's maybe more of a contributor defensively than some of these other guys that are just like part of a great team defense. Like I actually do think he's become a positive defensive player. His rim protection numbers this year are actually quite good. And the scheme that Ime Udoka has put him into, where he basically just like plays like free safety, has been successful. And so I think he is actually a big contributor to their defense being good. More so maybe than some of these other guys who are just like up one part of a good defense. The way you might say like Wendell Carter is, for example, on the Magic.
It's just such an interesting team build where I thought about Şengün, but do I really think like Alperen Şengün is one of the 15 best players? And the answer is no.
He's like Domantas Sabonis, but better, and you pick Sabonis. So I don't know what the leap that you can't make there is.
I think he's worse than Domantas Sabonis. I think he's worse than there you go. I think he's worse than Sabonis essentially.
Yeah,
it's like what is there a 15% difference in their true shooting number? But with they win because their defense, and Şengün isn't the driving force in that. And so, I think if there's a fourth team, you add him in, but
they are a good offensive team as well. It's not like they're the Clippers or the Magic, who are, a great defense that also can't score. Houston are 8th on offense. But yeah, I also didn't have him, but I think he's definitely worth a mention.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
And then
Absolutely.
similarly, we didn't mention Ime, but I think he's probably third for Coach of the Year.
Yeah, I mean, I
We
honestly,
talked about fucking
I think
LeBron. We gave LeBron an honorable mention. We didn't mention Ime Udoka.
I think Ime
that was
Udoka is the
tongue in
best
cheek.
coach in basketball. I think he is. I think he's insane. And the team, they play just with this diabolical presence, and it all stems from. I think Ime Udoka is a psychopath. Like, I think he's actually, none of it's an act. He's still mad about Boston. Like, he just carries himself with his anger, and it really rubs off on the Rockets. And I think that's part
Yeah.
of why they've been so intense and so good this season. But yeah, another piece really quickly. Houston, well, they have a 3-game lead over the 3 seed. Like, the West is so close that it's like, oh, you're not going to give an All NBA player to the 2nd seed. Well, the difference between the 2nd seed and the play-in is 5 games. And so, like, it just isn't enough. And the playoffs, I think, will help show some light on the better players. But we did it, guys. We
Do
did
we
it.
want to? Do we want to mention Executive of the Year?
Rob Pelinka.
It's yeah, Rob Pelinka. Yeah.
Like, I don't know what else we're doing here if it's not Rob Pelinka. The man pulled off the coup of the century.
It is gonna be funny when they give him that award. And it's just like, yeah, you got Luca. Like, congratulations. Like, what does Nico Harrison think about that? Like, these guys
Yeah,
are
he's
wild.
done a
These guys
done a
fucked up.
terrible job. Terrible off season. Bad trade deadline. Apart from Luca, but then Luca so astronomical, swings everything back around.
Rob Pelinka is gonna be in the Hall of Fame one day.
It's like
because of the Luca trade. There's gonna be a Rob Pelinka plaque and statue in the Hall of Fame because they're like, this guy shaped the 2020 Lakers dynasty when he traded for Luka Doncic.
It's like he built a castle on top of just a pile of dog shit, and it's just so astronomically covers up everything else that it's just like, oh wow, this is incredible.
Also, shout out Philly for getting in on the Nico kind of craziness and
also fleecing
pilfering in Quentin Grimes, who also had a case for MIP.
The smartest team is not the one that calls Nico first. It's the one that knows to follow up immediately after. It's like, hey, Nico, interesting week you're having. I just want to, check in on Quentin Grimes. Like,
not everyone has the pre-existing relationship to manipulate Nico Harrison into the worst trade in NBA history, but everyone does have the opportunity to follow that up.
That's
and
right.
Fleece him for one of his best role players.
Absolutely. Yeah. I heard you're trying to build a gritty, defensive-oriented championship team. Can I offer you? Was it Caleb Barton? I don't remember which Barton they flipped him for.
I think it was Caleb.
Yeah.
I think Cody's still out there on the East Coast.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are there any other really great candidates for this? I mean, can we just keep giving it to Zach Presti as like a
Sam
built
Presti?
this team over years? Yeah. Did I say Zach Presti?
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Sam Presti's probably second.
Yeah. Sam Presti. Can we do an anti-executive of the year for Monty McNair? Nico Harrison and Monty McNair.
It's Nico.
I don't know,
No,
man. Did you trade your best player for the worst contract in basketball? Because Monty McNair did that.
Hey,
did you almost need to forfeit games because you traded your best player for a guy with chronic injuries?
No, we have not been in forfeit games. I wish some of these games we could forfeit.
It's like when they have stats and it's like, oh, he's only the third player to ever do this. And then in the fine print is excluding Wilt, who did it 17 times. You got to have that caveat for not executive of the year of look at this terrible job he did. He was the worst executive, not including Nico Harrison, who pulled off the worst trade in NBA history.
I have to say, Zach LaVine, 32 points right now on 13 and 19 shooting, 6 of 10 from 3, as the Kings lead the Cavs 113-111 with 2.5 left.
Man, if Cleveland just implodes down the stretch here, I'm going to be so sad.
It seems like they're healthy. Mobley, Allen, Garland, Mitchell, Strus, Wade, Hunter. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, they're just good.
Yep, that's it. I'm taking Darius Garland off my third team and putting Sabonis in.
Garland has 9 points on 4 of 10 shooting. Sabonis 27 points, 11 of 16 shooting, 9 rebounds, 7 assists.
I couldn't
Checkmate.
talk you into Austin Reeves getting in there for the third teamer.
I
But
can't wait to make our top 100.
Yeah. And we finally get the year with no Kyle Kuzma. We don't have to put Kyle Kuzma at number 100 this year.
He has been 100 a couple times, huh?
Deal.
Next week, are we doing? Should this be in recording? Or should we wrap this?
Let's wrap this.
Okay.
Aaron, where can the people find you?
You say it with confidence, so people know what to tune in for next year.
Well, I think next week we'll do our top 20
week.
players heading into the playoffs.
Wow, that sounds like a great episode. You definitely don't want to miss that.
And play-in preview.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
The annual Bulls Hawks preview.
All right, Aaron, where can people
15th.
find you?
Possible Chairs on TikTok, Possible Chairs on Twitter, my Patreon for lists and writing stuff, and this podcast. This week, next week, other times.
Dylan, what's been the best, most recent addition to your letterbox?
Geez, I actually haven't watched anything in a while. Let me see. Calling it out live.
Yeah, I'm throwing a curveball at you instead of asking where people can find you. I'm telling them to go to your letterbox.
I like it.
Check out your review of
A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night. It was a great movie.
Nah, too many words.
My last review is the SpongeBob SquarePants movie. I gave it 4.5.
4.5. That's solid.
That's a high praise.
It's a fantastic film.
All right, you can find me here. You can email me hoopstemple@gmail.com. We'll all be able to see those and respond to them. Also, I'm on TikTok, Nate_hoopstemple. Love to hear from you guys. Have a great week.